Come back to Dubai every year as every budget is presented, and it's always so exciting to hear your views, to really get a sense of what the Indian diaspora is thinking of and reacting to all the policy decisions. And this one was a very keenly anticipated budget. That's the big question there in front of all of you, and that's the question that we'll be asking our panelists. Is this budget going to be that big enabler? Has it lived up to those expectations, or has it been a bit of a damp squib? You're going to hear a range of opinions from some of the biggest names from India, from the United Arab Emirates, people who've built up huge business empires here. Will they now look back home? That's the question that we want to ask of all of you. So it gives me great pleasure to invite you to this special budget forum brought to you by Times Now in association with all our sponsors this evening. Let me start off and introduce you to Naveen Chandra, who's the head international business at Times Television Network.
Good evening to all of you. His Excellency, Consul General Mr. Anurag Bhushanji, thank you so much for taking your time to come here. Mr. Paras Shahzadpuri, President of IBPC. Swaminathan Iyer, renowned economist. Mr. S.C. Agarwalji, President and Managing Director and Chairman of SMC. Mr. Nitish Jain, President of SP Jain Institute of Global Management. And Mr. Rajiv Kakkar. We have an eminent panel, and I am sure with Mr. Ram Baksani, we will have a very, very good evening tonight. This event is powered by SMC. We have SP Jain Institute of Global Management and Research as our education partner. We have IBPC as our event partner, Raymond's as our corporate sponsor, Deloitte Danube Home as our associate sponsor. We have our distribution partners, eLife, QTEL from Qatar, and OSN. Ernst & Young is our knowledge partner. TimesOfIndia.com, our digital partner. And Khalij Times is a local print partner. The idea was to actually analyze the budget and look at the impact in the Middle East. But we said that, you know, analysis is one part. Why don't we also look at seeing whether this budget can lead in to India becoming a coveted investment destination, where people are keen to look at India as an investment destination, and we move the needle, let's say, from the other BRIC companies or maybe China, etc. So that was the whole idea of putting this this panel together. So before we begin, may I request His Excellency Consul General Mr. Anurag Bhushan to please come and give us an inaugural address. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Words cannot express how happy I am to among all of you. All of you high achievers, achieved so much in life. In fact, when I look at all of you, I feel like India is in good hands. That the question is not, will India be the next investment hub? The question is, when will India be the next hub? Well, over the years, if we see how the budget analysis has changed, one element has remained constant. No budget analysis is complete without the mandatory fiscal deficit and budget deficit. That has to be the starting point of our analysis. We need to put the budgetary exercise in perspective. Budgets are prepared by politicians, by political leaders with years of experience. They know by virtue of their careers that they are dealing not in numbers, but they are dealing with human beings. And how do they realize it? By going through the grind of elections, by going to the people, by asking their votes, by understanding their needs, by realizing their wants. When we sit here, when we analyze, We analyze in air-conditioned atmosphere, in the cooled environment of logic and deduction, and we are talking about numbers, not human beings. So my first appeal would be that when we look at this budget, and particularly this year's budget, we need to understand the context in which this budget came about. The last few years have been very torrid for India. Not all was bad though. Indian economy grew by 7.7% in the last 10 years. Per capita income increased threefold. There were large number of remote resources committed to rural areas. So we saw wages growing, rural wages growing by 16%. The challenges were in the nature of jobs. We all know how jobless the growth of last 10 years was. There were barely any growth in jobs. In agriculture, for example, 6 million jobs were lost in that 10 years. And in manufacturing, we only had 1.7 million jobs created. To put it in perspective, 20 million people join workforce every year. The second question was of infrastructure development. The development that took place in last 10 years brought about a kind of awareness, a kind of confidence among people that they can ask their rulers a lot more than the rulers are committing. And that was the reason that there was so much of an upsurge of optimism, of demand. And I think of all the politicians, it was Mr. Modi in particular, but NDA in general, which realized that they need to move beyond caste, communal divisions and appeal to the entire India. That I find that this budget has come at a very good time. We have already seen that there is some good progress that is being made. Inflation is down. For the first time, we are seeing that industrial growth rate has moved up. In fact, it is at an 18-month high. We are also seeing that there are larger and larger order flows flowing into services sector. US and China, yesterday, we know that US and Chinese markets are growing now. These economies are now posting better results. So overall, I think that global environment is more conducive to Indian growth. If we create an enabling environment ourselves, nothing can stop us. That is my feeling. That is my hope.
Let me invite on stage for an address of UAE's view of the Indian budget, Paras Shehadadpuri, President IBPC.
Good evening, once again, namaskar and salam alaikum. Thank you, Consul General, for giving the overall view. People say that this budget lagged bang. I feel that one doesn't have to be a dramatist or give a very dramatic statements as long as what has been spoken is implemented honestly and sincerely. I can assure you that this country is on a great march. This has been a maiden budget, barely 6 weeks after the government was formed, but this gives a broad, clear signals where are we driving our country to. And I feel that Modi government has done a wonderful job by giving a broad roadmap and signals that this economy is going to grow, that this is a forward-looking budget and a reform-minded budget also. And very importantly, a realistic one. If we see that there were no, I say it as bold budget, why? Because there was no populist measures announced, as it has been done in the past. Giving freebies, spending $40 billion on subsidies, etc. $40 billion in terms of percentage, if you would like to know, represents almost 15% of our national budget being given on the freebies. And it's about 22% of the revenue of the government. So he has desisted himself from these populist measures. The allocation on the infrastructure has been very, very encouraging. They are going to spend about 37,000 crores on the road building, about 12,000 crores on ports development. Now, I feel personally that infrastructure, lack of it, has been a single most stumbling block for India's growth. No transportation, we waste about 15% of our entire food grain production, which goes into millions of tons. Our fresh produce is wasted to a level of almost 35 to 40% thanks to the infrastructure. If the infrastructure is put into place, whatever money they spend, we will save, I think, 3 to 4 times only in a plain food grain and other wastages which are taking place now. The manufacturing sector has been rather ignored in India. No country of the size of India can be a global economic power or major power or superpower, if at all, without the manufacturing base. Today, our manufacturing contribution to the GDP is barely 17-18%. We need to take it to 35 to 40%. A country of the size of India cannot really depend upon the only service industry. And our service industry contribution to GDP is as much as about 63-64%. If we have to grow at 9%, 10%, but our manufacturing sector must grow at 15 to 20%, and in fact to 25%. That's the sector which will provide jobs. Coming to UAE, our Indian friends here, NRI friends here, have invested in this country in businesses to over 55 billion US dollars. If we can invest such a large, huge amount in UAE, in such a small country like UAE, why can't we do this same thing in India? What we have been shying away is whether there is a right environment, whether we are welcome, whether we are non-required Indian or a national resource of India. These are the questions I'm sure this government is going to really address this issue. I am very sure that there is going to be a very major investment inflow in India, and I wish good luck to all of us. Thank you.
Let me now invite on stage a renowned economist, Swaminathan Ankleshwar Iyer.
For the first time in 25 years, there is a government where a single party has an absolute majority. This hasn't happened for a very long time, and it says something about the prospects for stability. Also, for the first time in 25 years, the majority in the Lok Sabha is so much, it can offset the lack of majority in the Rajya Sabha. So on the political side and on the legislative side, there is no question at all that there is an ability to do things which has not been there for 25 years. The political background is that there is a huge enablement. Modi has talked a lot. Politically, he is in a position to push these things through to a much larger extent than any of his predecessors in the last 25 years. So then the question is, to what extent does the budget go achieving these number of goals the ambassador spelled out, others have spelled out, right? There was a lot of talk earlier on about we have to take tough decisions. It is inevitable we are going to have a number of bitter pills, get ready for it. In the budget, there was not one tough decision and not one bitter pill. There were some sugar-coated pills, yes. There was not one single bitter pill. To a substantial extent, they were taking forward the program of the UPA itself with some variations. There has been a halting start made, a number of good intentions, and it remains to be seen whether these are executed and we actually get the Achhe Din that have been promised. Thank you.
Let's take this forward. Let's have a quick discussion from our panelists, and I'm going to ask them to join us on stage and perhaps talk about what this government needs to do next. I'm going to ask Swami to rejoin us, Swaminathan Iyer, Mr. S.C. Agarwal, Chairman and Managing Director at SMC, Mr. Rajiv Kakkar, CEO, Fullerton Finance and CEO, Dunya Finance, Mr. Ram Baksani, Chairman, International Traders Limited, Mr. Paras Shehadadpuri, President, IBPC, and Mr. Nitesh Jain, SP Jain School of Global Management.
Doctor, you're a funny man. लो, मेरा फैमिली एडवाइजर आ गया।
अरे तुम्हारा फैमिली डॉक्टर तो मैं हूँ। ये फैमिली एडवाइजर कौन है भाई?
भाई जैसे तुम मेरी हेल्थ का ख्याल रखते हो, वैसे ही मेरी वेल्थ का ख्याल रखता है मेरा फैमिली एडवाइजर, मेरा SMC। SMC, India's award-winning broker जो रखे आपके निवेश का ख्याल. SMC, money wise, be wise.
Raymond, the complete man.
SPJ, crafting global business leaders.
Aha! You would also dance and joy like them if you start living in dreams. Contemporary luxury townhouses from Danube. Why wouldn't you? When classy 3 and 4 bedroom townhouses start from just 2.5 million dirhams. Italian marble, luxury bathroom with jacuzzi, fully equipped modular kitchen, landscape gardens with gazebo are just part of the luxury that these homes offer. Dreams from Danube is ideally located at Al Furjan next to the Ibn Battuta Mall. So, what is stopping you from going for the best at the lowest cost in town? Dreams, affordable luxuries from Danube Properties. Happiness is now within your reach.
Planning a wedding? A vacation? How about a future? Citibank now offers you a loan in just 24 hours, the fastest way to own your dreams. With Citibank, your loan is here in 24 hours. Just SMS 24 to 2484 or go to citibank.ae. Citibank terms and conditions apply.
If you are what you drive, then why not be the person who makes everyone stand up and take notice? Introducing the all-new Ford Fusion. It listens and responds to the sound of your voice, and it can practically park itself. Why be invisible when you can stand out?
पापा ये क्यों कर रहे हो?
बेटा नुकसान होने से बचाओ वरना बाद में पछताओ।
पापा इतना सब सेफ्टी क्यों?
नुकसान होने से बचाओ वरना बाद में पछताओ।
पापा के दांत में बहुत दर्द हो रहा है।
पापा ये क्यों?
नुकसान होने से बचाओ वरना बाद में पछताओ।
साधारण टूथपेस्ट में मौजूद हानिकारक केमिकल्स आपको नुकसान पहुंचा सकते हैं। वीको वज्रदंती में है 18 गुणकारी जड़ी बूटियां। वीको वज्रदंती की शक्ति अपनाओ
वरना बाद में पछताओ।
डॉक्टर you're a funny man. लो मेरा फैमिली एडवाइजर आ गया।
अरे तुम्हारा फैमिली डॉक्टर तो मैं हूँ। ये फैमिली एडवाइजर कौन है भाई?
भाई जैसे तुम मेरी हेल्थ का ख्याल रखते हो वैसे ही मेरी वेल्थ का ख्याल रखता है मेरा फैमिली एडवाइजर, मेरा SMC। SMC, इंडियाज अवार्ड विनिंग ब्रोकर जो रखे आपके निवेश का ख्याल। SMC, मनी वाइज, बी वाइज।
global business leaders.
Aha! You would also dance and enjoy like them if you start living in dreams. Contemporary luxury townhouses from Danube. Why won't you? When classy 3 and 4 bedroom townhouses start from just 2.5 million dirhams. Italian marble, luxury bathroom with jacuzzi, fully equipped modular kitchen, landscape gardens with gazebo are just part of the luxury that these homes offer. Dreams from Danube is ideally located at Al Furjan, next to the Ibn Battuta Mall. So, what is stopping you from going for the best at the lowest cost in town? Dreams, affordable luxuries from Danube Properties. Happiness is now within your reach.
Planning a wedding? A vacation? How about a future? Citibank now offers you a loan in just 24 hours, the fastest way to own your dreams. With Citibank, your loan is here in 24 hours. Just SMS 24 to 2484 or go to citibank.ae. Citibank terms and conditions apply.
If you are what you drive, then why not be the person who makes everyone stand up and take notice? Introducing the all-new Ford Fusion. It listens and responds to the sound of your voice, and it can practically park itself. Why be invisible when you can stand out?
पापा ये क्यों कर रहे हो?
बेटा नुकसान होने से बचाओ वरना बाद में पछताओ।
पापा इतना सब सेफ्टी क्यों?
नुकसान होने से बचाओ वरना बाद में पछताओ।
पापा के दांत पे बहुत दर्द हो रहा है।
पापा ये क्यों?
नुकसान होने से बचाओ वरना बाद में पछताओ।
साधारण टूथपेस्ट में मौजूद हानिकारक केमिकल्स आपको नुकसान पहुंचा सकते हैं। वीको वज्रदंती में है 18 गुणकारी जड़ी बूटियां। वीको वज्रदंती की शक्ति अपनाओ वरना बाद में पछताओ।
डॉक्टर you're a funny man. लो मेरा फैमिली एडवाइजर आ गया।
अरे तुम्हारा फैमिली डॉक्टर तो मैं हूँ। ये फैमिली एडवाइजर कौन है भाई?
भाई जैसे तुम मेरी हेल्थ का ख्याल रखते हो वैसे ही मेरी वेल्थ का ख्याल रखता है मेरा फैमिली एडवाइजर, मेरा SMC। SMC, इंडियाज अवार्ड विनिंग ब्रोकर जो रखे आपके निवेश का ख्याल। SMC, मनी वाइज बी वाइज।
On my right-hand side, it appears that it's the team that has decided that this is a budget that perhaps could have done much more. Am I correct? And it's not happened by design. It just, with Swami, of course, taking the lead. And on my left is the team, which believes that no, we still have hope. Achhe din aayenge, and this is a budget which has achieved. Because after all, this is a government which has given us a lot of hope after 10 years of the UPA regime, and there are signs of it in the budget as well. Okay, so let me ask the team on the left, and let me start with you, Mr. Jain. You heard what Swami had to say, and really, he's pretty much read it to bits what Arun Jaitley presented. And it's a feeling that we also saw being mirrored in the stock markets. You're sitting here in the UAE amongst a fraternity which Prime Minister Modi is appealing to. How would you counter some of the arguments that Swami and, Mr. Agrawal and Mr. Kakkar are going to be following up with?
See, the budget is really not a 2020 cricket match. And it would be easy for him to try and hit a six. That's what everyone was waiting for, this wow effect. But it's very risky. This is a budget, the human beings involved. So to continue my cricket analogy, he took a safe two. It's a long-term game that he's playing. We have to understand, we can't toss it away, that it has been just 6 weeks. Yes, he could have done more, we can analyze, but there are several issues that we need to examine together. Where's the money going to come from? What are his priorities? And so on and so forth. We can go on and on. But I think in the circumstances, he did a decent job. There was nothing that he did wrong. It's just that we had expected more, and he just took a safe.
So is that the basic problem? That we all came in with huge expectations. The stock markets were testimony to that. Running up to 26,000 and the money continued to pour in, and then we saw the reality on budget day. Rajiv Kakkal, you invest and you look at many markets. We know Indonesia is on a run. You've got markets, these are markets which are competing for that dollar investment, which India is crying out. Do you think this is actually going to attract those dollars coming in?
I think, just to respond to it, we sit here in judgment about whether this is a good budget or not. And I think budgeting is always an activity that you have to go through annually. What's really important right now is that the euphoria has happened because we've come out of an abyss of inaction. And there is a lot of euphoria because here is someone who has the ability to execute in the past, and we expect that execution to happen. Emerging markets in general do not have an unemployment problem. They have a disguised unemployment problem. And I think our country has a huge issue around productivity. We must realize that this government has inherited a very fractured balance sheet. Now, governments have the luxury, and I think Swami mentioned it in some ways, have the luxury of doing cash-based accounting. So you can announce projects but never spend them. Right. But if you were really an executive running a business, and I think that's what we're looking at, we should be looking at what is committed, what gets done, because you have to be accountable for your actions. I think the euphoria that people are measuring success by is the stock markets. But hot money in is equally fast. Money moves out equally fast. So I think the measures right now, we're going through a remedy. We're trying to fix ourselves. I think we should stop worrying too much about the big bang nature of what gets announced, worry more about execution. It's these incremental actions that will happen, that will lead us to some level of success. The only good thing about the budget, or I think about the change that we're going through, is the fact that we now have political will to do things.
Political will. Ram Baksani, when we were sitting here last year, and I'm not talking about, when we had the last event, that was what we spent a lot of time on, that there was no political will, the government had gone into apathy, sleeping mode, and now everybody seems to be riding on that hope that this government is the one which is in the driver's seat. Mr. Modi is going to power forward with Arun Jaitley by his side, even if a lot of the details are missing in the fine print.
Because the government is headed by a person who has delivered. It is true that many of the ideas have been taken by Arun Jaitley from Mr. Chidambaram. But I think that should be, he should be given credit for that, that things which were in right earnest, they have been implemented. I mean, they have not shown any ego that whatever previous government has done, we have to undo it. No, because of majority in parliament, he could implement it. Chidambaram could not.
Action or the climax is outside of the budget. Is that what you're anticipating?
That's correct.
I would agree. The budget is one day in the life of the government over the year. And as I said, the budget has said nothing terrible. The budget disappointed me insofar as it didn't have enough specifics. The budget also disappointed me insofar as why talk about tough decisions and bitter medicine if you're not going to do it.
Now, let me come to Mr. Agarwal. The thing is that, India, we know chaos, it will take years. He doesn't have a magic wand. It's a lot to do with psychology. And some say, Mr. Jaitley actually read the psychology very well. Thoda sa middle class ko, he made us all happy. He gave us those increased tax exemptions. Didn't really tinker around much with anything else. So in that sense, we were all as it is wilting because of the inflation, the whole environment. So in a way, he read the psychology well. Is that working on the markets, Mr. Agarwal?
You see, seeing the constraint of fiscal deficit challenging, keeping at 4.1%, finance minister has done the good job. And market, you see, when ND government was coming to power, market was having lot of expectations, and it has increased from 23,000 census to 26,000. So when budget came, though as Mr. Iyer has said that people have very lot of expectations and he didn't do any bold step. And because of that, Modi government, where people were expecting a lot and they did not find anything which is very, very bold. So people have a disappointment in that way. But considering his constraint, 45 days, he has to keep his fiscal deficit within the challenging 4.1%, and he has done a good job.
Okay, one second, Mr. Agarwal, now I have to move you to this side of the discussion then, right? Because you are now saying that you're sort of sitting on the fence.
Yeah, you see, actually, ultimately he did a good job because he has meet certain expectations of the industry. He has increased FDI from 26% to 49% in defense as well as insurance sector.
Okay, let's talk about hot money, because you talked about hot money, and we need that hot money because hot money is what made our markets run up, put India on the radar. Everybody said, "Arey, is market mein invest." We all need to invest in this market. Many of you also would have decided with that lead. Rajiv Kakkar, do you see, because even as far as FIIs are concerned, FDI, okay, that's going to take some time, but as far as FIIs are concerned, does this have enough to keep that momentum going?
In my view, this obsession around 4.1% is something that is causing us the problem. In general, if you're an executive, you are restructuring something. You've come out of a bad situation. You are sitting on political as well as legislative authority now to be able to take decisions of the nature that you want. I think this budget could have taken a stronger stance on not worrying so much about top-line numbers, about the quantity of the fiscal deficit, but look at the quality of the fiscal deficit. There is nothing wrong in growing economies and emerging economies in my view, and I'm not an economist, but I'm certainly a practical businessman. For there to be deficit, if the deficit is well spent. We keep talking about the lack of savings.
Mr. Kakkar, that is very easy to say. Yes. Next day when the headlines comes and Moody's and Fitch have actually taken a relook at the fiscal deficit, relook at India's ratings because of the fiscal deficit slippage. That's something that's really looked at with an eagle eye.
I agree, and I'm not doubting that, but I'm just saying that the quality of earnings and quality of spending as well as productivity, we often talk about capital, but we are forgetting the importance of human capital, people. We've talked about 100 IIMs and 100 IITs. Nobody's talking about the PhDs and doctors who will staff those hospitals and those IITs. I think it is also highly insipid for a country of our size and our creativity to continue brandishing the same brand time and time again.
And Nitish Jain, I'd like to bring you in here because we've spoken about the IITs and IIMs. Those have made the headlines for the right or the wrong reason. There's also been a lot of talk about the apprenticeship, changing the terms of the apprenticeship program and how that will enable a lot of people. But do you think in terms of skill development, because that is the demographic dividend, the unemployment issue, this budget went far enough?
Not at all. I don't think it went, it did anything really. Because yes, you can have 5 IIMs, and so you're going to educate maybe 2,000 or 3,000 people. You will have 5 IITs, and you'll educate another 4,000 or 5,000 people.
Okay.
So it's really not a lot, So they have to do things at the grassroots level. They have to look at primary education. I mean, they have to do it on a much wider scale for it to actually count for something. In a country like
so
India.
As far as education is concerned, you consider it lacking. Now let me come to you. Manufacturing is a large part of your business. When you look at some of the incentives, and clearly India and Mr. Modi, in terms of pitching India forward, he's doing that as far as the headlines are concerned. Manufacturing is going to be a big mainstay. Would you now look at India as an investment destination, for instance, for your companies?
Well, first let me say something that it will be very novice to expect a miracle or entirely different than the previous governments. After all, if your revenue is 10 lakhs of crores, suddenly you can't produce to 20 lakhs, nobody can do any major miracles. The question is the intent and then the implementation of that intent, which has well begun. He's a politician. He's a prime minister of a country. Imagine with rail budget hike, there were a lot of uproar and a lot of furor. He has to be a popular Prime Minister, but not by adopting populist measures. Manufacturing, yes, it has to be encouraged. There's no alternative for India not to go into the major manufacturing. The biggest problem is the manpower there, the strikes and
the availability of skilled power.
Yes, not availability of skilled power. The culture which we have of the strikes and the lockdowns,
the labor laws.
So that is, I think, needs to be improved. If there
So
is
you would still hold back?
I will perhaps hold back because, as I said, this is an annual budget. He can't give a roadmap of 10 years.
Mr. Baksani, how would you state your position right now?
No, I think in case of investment in India, we have definitely to relook it because investment needs confidence and trust. Now, this present environment has created that sort of confidence. It's true that the government is still in its infancy. 45-year-old child is infant, is not on honeymoon. So that much time we have to give. But India is a potential market. It definitely promises. Over 1 billion population, it has got its own inherent strength of consumer requirement.
But would you put your money?
Yes, yes.
You are planning to increase investments?
I mean, I'm also infant 45 days. I have to watch the government.
Okay. So you will still watch till 45 days. Swami, I think people, you're seeing the mood. People are more optimistic. They have a lot of hope. And they voted with their heart. And I think what we heard the Councillor General, they are desperately hoping, I hope something changes. So if you were to look forward, 45 days, okay, fine, grace period, there will be 100 days. But what are the 3 things that you would say, or what are the few things that you would say that he must decisively act on now?
He needs to decisively act on land. He decisively needs to act on electricity. All the state electricity boards are bust. Ultimately you can't get a situation where people are paying for electricity. Everything else down the line is going to get into trouble, the banks, the coal mines, everything else. So he has to tackle land acquisition. He has to tackle this other one. And number 3, he has to do something about quick decision making. We have created a situation today. There is a law which says that if, as a result of a decision, anybody gains a benefit, the civil servant can be held guilty of corruption even if he hasn't made any money himself. That law, I think he needs to change that and several other laws which induce people to take decisions faster. There's a whole systemic change so I would say, there are many things he needs to do. These 3 things, in my view, are very good.
Mr. Agarwal?
He could have decided retrospective, which cases 4 lakh crore are pending in the courts. So he could say that retrospectively nothing will be happen, and which has already happened. He should waive all the taxes and he should settle all the disputes. So retrospectively, with judgment has come in favor of the FIs, that he should upheld. So second, he could have said that land, as Swaminathan has said, land compensation is 4 times if an industry is acquiring land. So he could have decided the Land Acquisition Act in that way that it should be 2 times which discrimination is there. So that he could have rectified. Right. And third, he could have been more in deciding GST and DTC. It should be implemented very fast and he should decide a date. So
GST, retrospective taxing, and of course, as far as land compensation is concerned and land acquisition. From an NRI investor's point of view, Rajiv Kakkar, immediate things that you are looking at in the near future that you would want this government to act on?
All the things that have been talked about are things that are going to take time. Reform and outcome has always got some time. Often outcome takes a long time. I think the first thing and the most important is what Swami said, a culture of decision making. Second thing is attracting people, and they could be NRIs coming back into the country in some fashion or form. We have a governor today who's come back. We have many other people who are willing to come back and make a difference, albeit for a short time. But to make some of these, for the 60-month scorecard to look good, some of these elements and their effects will take longer to come. But the low-hanging fruit is first you need people who can execute. We have finally a Prime Minister who knows how to execute. Does he have a team that knows how to execute? You see, the team is largely politicians too. So we need a bunch of
politicians and bureaucrats.
Yes, and bureaucrats. So that the first is culture, which he can drive. People should not be killed for taking decisions as long as they're not unethical or immoral. But very clearly, you need a bunch of very good executors who may not necessarily be in the political arena.
Okay.
And we need to get them back.
Okay. Audience, I'm going to throw this open to you.
I have a question with Mr. Swami. As far as the government is concerned, he has given the roadmap that what he wants to do in the coming years. There are 29 schemes with 100 crore. Making 1,000 crore allocation in these schemes is not in the best interest of the country because you need time for the execution, land acquisitions. So in my opinion, it looks like this is a budget which is not only for 8 or 9 months. This is a budget and roadmap for the next 2 to 3 years' time. So I feel it positive, at least, that he has given hope in different areas where he wants to take the country forward.
I will say that the roadmap was already sketched out before the budget. During the campaign, in the speeches, that roadmap was sketched out. The question was, is there anything in the budget which fills in those details in sufficient amount and makes the financing and other details clear? I would say, frankly, that has not been done yet. I think it can be argued, give them more time, let them work it out. Why did Chidambaram fail in 2 years? And how do I overcome that? That is an execution issue of the highest importance. And we have to say, okay, it's all very well to have
isn't
plans.
that the vital difference, Swami, that was because we had a Manmohan Singh at the helm who was a weak leader. And
No.
Here you have a strong leader.
They were weak, but then 2 years ago, when Sonia saw the need to re-elect, now she said, forget about the National Advisory Council, forget about Mamta. Now I am giving Chidambaram full rein to go ahead. And Chidambaram went full rein ahead and cleared everything, and nothing happened.
Yes, sir. Very quickly.
I'd like to ask a question to Swami, but I'm absolutely open to hear about it from anyone else among the eminent panelists. I'd like to ask, what percentage of weightage should we put to fiscal consolidation in terms of not this budget, but as a build-up towards the next 4 budgets that we would like to see?
Whether you look at what Moody's or others say, or most people, they will say it is the quality of government spending that matters. If government spending is extremely good and extremely productive, people will worry much less. But if you have a situation where, according to our own NIPFP, the totality of unrecovered spendings, subsidies broadly, is about 14%, when your entire tax collection is only 17%. And of the unrecovered 14%, about half can be called merit subsidies and half are non-merit. So the quality of government spending is extremely poor. If that quality was better, I think everybody would be much more relaxed. Now, earlier on, please remember, there used to be the idea that the fiscal deficit, if it comes to 3.0, the fiscal deficit is 3%, revenue deficit should be 0. The difference should be 3%. Right now, you find you're talking about 4.1 and 3. In other words, the moment you look at the split between the fiscal deficit, revenue deficit, the quality of your fiscal deficit is very bad.
My question is to Mr. Agarwal. With all this confidence of the budget and all the doubts about what is going forward or what is going to happen in the next 1 year or next 5 years, why the reaction of the stock market is not very subdued? It's still going up. Okay, it's volatile for the last few days, but it's still confidentially going up. What is the reason? Is that the Sensex feels and understands the economy much better than people?
Yeah, budget is good for long term. And people are believing in Narendra Modi's leadership.
Yes.
Whatever he is doing for long term. He is not a short-term fellow. So, capital market is also believing, and in long term, market will boom. And we are very confident you will see around 30,000 Sensex in December 2014.
Doctor, you're a funny man. लो, मेरा फैमिली एडवाइजर आ गया।
अरे तुम्हारा फैमिली डॉक्टर तो मैं हूँ। ये फैमिली एडवाइजर कौन है भाई?
भाई जैसे तुम मेरी हेल्थ का ख्याल रखते हो, वैसे ही मेरी वेल्थ का ख्याल रखता है मेरा फैमिली एडवाइजर, मेरा SMC। SMC, इंडियाज अवार्ड विनिंग ब्रोकर जो रखे आपके निवेश का ख्याल। SMC, मनी वाइज, बी वाइज।
Raymond, the complete man.
SPJ, crafting global business leaders.
Aha! You would also dance and enjoy like them if you start living in dreams. Contemporary luxury townhouses from Danube. Why won't you? When classic 3 and 4 bedroom townhouses start from just 2.5 million dirhams. Italian marble. Luxury bathroom with jacuzzi, fully equipped modular kitchen, landscape gardens with gazebo are just part of the luxury that these homes offer. Dreams from Danube is ideally located at Al Furjan, next to the Ibn Battuta Mall. So, what is stopping you from going for the best at the lowest cost in town? Dreams, affordable luxuries from Danube Properties. Happiness is now within your reach.
Planning a wedding? A vacation? How about a future? Citibank now offers you a loan in just 24 hours, the fastest way to own your dreams. With Citibank, your loan is here in 24 hours. Just SMS 24 to 2484 or go to citibank.ae. Citibank terms and conditions apply.
If you are what you drive, then why not be the person who makes everyone stand up and take notice? Introducing the all-new Ford Fusion. It listens and responds to the sound of your voice, and it can practically park itself. Why be invisible when you can stand out?
पापा ये क्यों कर रहे हो?
बेटा नुकसान होने से बचाओ वरना बाद में पछताओ।
पापा इतना सब सेफ्टी क्यों?
नुकसान होने से बचाओ वरना बाद में पछताओ।
पापा के दांत में बहुत दर्द हो रहा है।
पापा ये क्यों?
नुकसान होने से बचाओ वरना बाद में पछताओ।
साधारण टूथपेस्ट में मौजूद हानिकारक केमिकल्स आपको नुकसान पहुंचा सकते हैं। वीको वज्रदंती में है 18 गुणकारी जड़ी बूटियाँ। वीको वज्रदंती की शक्ति अपनाओ वरना बाद में पछताओ।
डॉक्टर you're a funny man. लो मेरा फैमिली एडवाइजर आ गया।
अरे तुम्हारा फैमिली डॉक्टर तो मैं हूँ। ये फैमिली एडवाइजर कौन है भाई?
भाई जैसे तुम मेरी हेल्थ का ख्याल रखते हो वैसे ही मेरी वेल्थ का ख्याल रखता है मेरा फैमिली एडवाइजर, मेरा SMC। SMC, इंडियाज अवार्ड विनिंग ब्रोकर जो रखे आपके निवेश का ख्याल। SMC, मनी वाइज बी वाइज।
Raymond, the complete man.
SPJ, crafting global business leaders.
Aha! You would also dance and enjoy like them if you start living in dreams. Contemporary luxury townhouses from Danube. Why won't you? When classic 3 and 4 bedroom townhouses start from just 2.5 million dirhams. Italian marble. Luxury bathroom with jacuzzi, fully equipped modular kitchen, landscape gardens with gazebo are just part of the luxury that these homes offer. Dreams from Danube is ideally located at Al Furjan, next to the Ibn Battuta Mall. So, what is stopping you from going for the best at the lowest cost in town? Dreams, affordable luxuries from Danube Properties. Happiness is now within your reach.
Planning a wedding? A vacation? How about a future? Citibank now offers you a loan in just 24 hours, the fastest way to own your dreams. With Citibank, your loan is here in 24 hours. Just SMS 24 to 2484 or go to citibank.ae. Citibank terms and conditions apply.
If you are what you drive, then why not be the person who makes everyone stand up and take notice? Introducing the all-new Ford Fusion. It listens and responds to the sound of your voice, and it can practically park itself. Why be invisible when you can stand out?
पापा ये क्यों कर रहे हो?
बेटा नुकसान होने से बचाओ वरना बाद में पछताओ।
पापा इतना सब सेफ्टी क्यों?
नुकसान होने से बचाओ वरना बाद में पछताओ।
पापा के दांत में बहुत दर्द हो रहा है।
पापा ये क्यों?
नुकसान होने से बचाओ वरना बाद में पछताओ।
साधारण टूथपेस्ट में मौजूद हानिकारक केमिकल्स आपको नुकसान पहुंचा सकते हैं। वीको वज्रदंती में है 18 गुणकारी जड़ी बूटियां। वीको वज्रदंती की शक्ति अपनाओ वरना बाद में पछताओ।
Aha! You would also dance and enjoy like them if you start living in dreams. Contemporary luxury townhouses from Danube. Why wouldn't you? When classy 3 and 4 bedroom townhouses start from just 2.5 million dirhams. Italian marble. Luxury bathroom with jacuzzi, fully equipped modular kitchen, landscape gardens with gazebo are just part of the luxury that these homes offer. Dreams from Danube is ideally located at Al Furjan, next to the Ibn Battuta Mall. So, what is stopping you from going for the best at the lowest cost in town? Dreams, affordable luxuries from Danube Properties. Happiness is now within your reach.
Oh, you're a funny man. लो मेरा फैमिली एडवाइजर आ गया।
अरे तुम्हारा फैमिली डॉक्टर तो मैं हूँ। ये फैमिली एडवाइजर कौन है भाई?
भाई जैसे तुम मेरी हेल्थ का ख्याल रखते हो वैसे ही मेरी वेल्थ का ख्याल रखता है मेरा फैमिली एडवाइजर, मेरा एसएमसी। एसएमसी इंडियाज अवार्ड विनिंग ब्रोकर जो रखे आपके निवेश का ख्याल। एसएमसी मनी वाइज बी वाइज।
Mr. Agarwal, I'll quickly ask you to go to the podium and deliver your closing remarks.
Stability has been a constant factor in recent years for the Indian economic environment, which is guaranteed by a democratic system which has provided the openness, process of credibility and security. This is reinforced by tradition and credibility of our judicial system. Abundant and low-wage labor, widespread use of English in government and commercial level, high level of technical training of high percentage of the workforce gives Indian workforce an edge over the next few years among Asian countries and hence one of the world's most attractive destination for investment. It is evident that India is the place where the world can generate a lot of great business opportunities in the long run and will be one of the great economic powers of the future. India's appeal lies in its comparative labor cost, lucrative domestic market, and its skilled workforce. Foreign investors also applaud its strong management and business education system, as well as its improving telecommunication infrastructure. However, the country's weakness are its underdeveloped infrastructure and a restrictive operating environment. The sectors have not only transformed India's image on the global platform, but have also helped Indian companies expand globally with delivery centers across the globe and employing around 2.8 million people directly and around 8.9 million indirectly. The trends in FDI are endorsements of its status as a preferred investment destinations among global investors. India's competitive strength span from telecommunication, IT, auto components, chemicals, apparels, pharmaceuticals and jewelry. India's steady economic liberalization and its embrace of the global economy has been key factors in attracting FDI. The government has opened up multi-brand retails and civil aviation market to 51 and 49% respectively, with more reforms expected in banking, pension, the Land Acquisition Act, regulatory changes in the power sector, systematic plan for reductions in fuel and fertilizer subsidies, recapitalization of state-owned banks, clarity on gas pricing, auctioning of coal blocks, augmenting funding and investment in the railways. Global corporations view India as one of the key markets from where future growth will emerge. A recent study by the McKinsey Global Institute suggests that if India continues to grow at the current pace, average household incomes will triple over the next decades and the country will become the world's 5th largest consumer economy by 2025, up from 12th at present. With great power comes great responsibility. India should now show the readiness to take on the greater role in world economic order with its sustained financial and economic growth. Expectation of the industry was not met on retrospective tax side. They have not clearly say that it will be repealed, and it will. They have said that they will look into it, and aidsmen are there to look in all these things. And on GST side, they have said yes, they will implement this year, but categorically they have not said yes, we will implement this year only.
In budget itself, there's a lot to appreciate about. I mean, it was one of the most refreshing budget of recent times, I would say. 100 smart cities in the rest of the fiscal year, in 8 months' time, 100 smart cities. It's a fabulous idea, because that will stop the exodus of rural population coming towards big cities. That will create a lot of employment, a lot of confidence in the villages, and whole India will become a well-planned and well-developed country.
Mood is really upbeat. The mood has been upbeat anyways after the Modi government took over, but that has been doubly assured and reassured after the budget was presented, that this government means business. This government has given indications that infrastructure, which was neglected is going to be given the highest priority. Roof on everybody's head by 2022 is a gigantic step. Whether it will be done or not is a question mark, but at least the initiative is there.
When you look at education as well, there was nothing very grand. I mean, he did start 5 new IIMs and 5 new IITs, which I think is a good thing. But there was nothing very big or grand overall in the budget, but it was a safe and sound budget.
One of the positive feelings that this budget has led to is there seems to be a lot of hope. I think it's a very sensible budget which aims at talking about addressing the right elements. And I think a well-said and a well-discussed budget eventually is half the job done. Execution is going to be critical. But on the financial services side, literally everything that our Prime Minister has rolled out in this budget is pretty much going to need a lot of financing. So I think financing is key, and it opens up a lot of opportunities. Whether it's financial inclusion that he talks of, whether he talks of infrastructure, that's going to require financing, critical structures. There's a large need to create jobs, and I think that is again where financing will play a very critical part.
A lot of good changes have taken place in Indian economy as it is, and this budget comes, I find this budget a very business-like budget. It has some grand schemes, the importance of which we will know as we grow further into the year.
Powered by SMC, event partner IBPC, corporate sponsor Raymond.
Education partner, SP Jain School of Global Management. Knowledge partner, EY. Associate sponsor, Danube Home.